The sense I get is that you grew up watching a lot of racing, not so much of films.
No, we grew up watching films. I mean, Tamil films, Hindi films. It's not that it's probably I don't talk about it. There's so many films that I've watched as a youngster.
Which was your favorite film, or you think one that shaped you, and you felt that you were clear that racing is something that you're passionate about, enjoyed. But which was a film you saw and said, hey, maybe acting also is something I'd enjoy?
No, acting was never on my radar. I'm an accidental actor.
Oh.
See, I worked as a merchandiser in a garment export firm. In fact, I first started off after school. I worked for an automobile manufacturing company. For one of their dealerships, sales and service centers and apprentices. I was with them for about 6 months. When I took up racing, I was 18 when I started racing motorcycles, and my parents have been a huge. I mean, they were way ahead of their times. I remember my father telling me that, Ajith, motorsports is a very expensive sport. I cannot support you financially, but I will not stop you. I know how passionate you are about motorsports. You'll have to find your own way. And look at destiny. It so happened that I was at the racetrack when I was approached by a model coordinator who gave me a visiting card saying that, hey, look, if you're interested in modeling, please do contact us. And I didn't take it. I thought, okay, let me just give it a shot.
Get some money.
And then before I realized it, I started getting assignments, doing print ads, TV commercials, and the money that I made from modeling, I would spend on my racing.
Okay.
And the income that I generated from my work, my salary would I would give it to my mother.
Okay.
And so like when I again took up this job after my business went bust, I got a call for an audition for a Telugu film, and that was a language I couldn't speak.
Okay.
And I decided to pursue. I said, okay, fine, let me give it a shot. And my parents were they were very concerned. They said, Ajith, nobody in our family have been in the film industry. Think about it. I only told my parents, I told them, I mean, look, I know, I mean, it's like I'm leaping in the dark, but imagine all those talented people who want to become actors. If they got to know that someone like me has been approached by a production company and I refused to even consider that, imagine how angry they would be,
Yeah, it's an interesting way of thinking.
So I said, why don't you look at it from their point of view? So it's something that is coming my way. I don't know if I will make it, or maybe I won't. But to not make use of an opportunity that's coming your way by itself is a sin. At least for all those people who are struggling, at least let me just, since it's coming, and that's how I became an actor. And I remember, I was very naive. I remember being asked a question by a journalist saying, okay, how come, what made you take up acting? And I gave them this reason, saying that I incurred a few debts due to my business, and idea was to probably do a couple of films, and if I did become successful, make enough money to pay back my debts. It was like flabbergasted, and said, so you came in for the money, and he was very taken aback. And I told him, look, how many people have the intention of paying back a bad debt? So why don't you appreciate me that I agreed to take a leap in the dark, unknown territory, accepting to do a film. First of all, I had to audition for it. And I got through the audition, so it wasn't like, just, okay, come act. I had to prove myself. I had to prove myself worthy of that opportunity, and that to a language that I couldn't speak. Yeah, and so like I said, sometimes certain things are destined. So you just live for the day. Be honest with whatever you're doing. Be sincere. Have strong work ethics, and not think about if I may say this, I didn't come to the industry wanting to be famous or, seeking fame. I wanted work that could help me pay back my debts. If you look at my first few films, I was a terrible actor. I couldn't speak the language, even Tamil. For the first 5 films, I had other actors dub for me. I had a dubbing artist dub for me. It was only after, I think, my 6th film that I could dub for my own self. And I was criticized for the accent. I had an anglicized accent. And even today, even till date, mimicry artists, they mimic my earlier modulation, but I worked on it. I worked on my diction. I worked on my Tamil. I worked on my a lot of things, and I was sincere. I'm not saying I'm the best, but I'm honest to what I'm doing. So,
which was your most memorable film in your own career?
Wali.
Oh yeah.
Wali. Wali is, that film will always be close to my heart. Probably got me the recognition. People took me. I believe that people took me seriously as an actor after Wali. Yeah, till then, yes, I did receive a lot of love and affection. When Asai happened, people liked me, but I think Wali was what really opened up a lot of doors for me.
Yeah, my favorite is Kandukundi.
Kandukundi, yes. There are a lot of films that have done well for me, but very few films remain close to my heart. And I've been asked this question, why is it that you're only partial towards a few films? Like I could name films like Wali, Mangata, Billa.
Oh, Billa's a good one.
And the reason I say this is, there are some films that I feel anybody could have played those roles, and the films would have still gone on to become successful films. But like films like Wali and Billa or Mangata, or let's say even Varlar, I feel like, it suited me to a point that it helped me showcase my potential as an actor. The right thing to say would be, it helped me push my boundaries. Where I myself was surprised that I could.
That you could pull that off.
I could pull that off. So that's the reason I named those films as my favorite films. Not that I'm disrespectful to the other directors, but these films really helped me push my own boundaries.
Do you think as an actor, I know you said that you're an accidental actor, you got into it because you wanted to pay off your debts. But do you think somewhere along the line in the last many years, as well as you've progressed in this industry, that you believe that as an actor also that there's a need to send the right message across to society? Do you think that burden should fall on actors or not really?
Okay, the reason I wanted to remake Pink, somewhere I felt very guilty for some of my earlier films. I wouldn't want to name them, where we have portrayed women, or we haven't portrayed women.
Was it a bit misogynist?
Like stalking the heroine. Like if a villain were to misbehave with the heroine, she would slap him, or the hero would come and help the damsel, the woman in distress. But if the hero did the same thing, if he was in love with a girl, he could do whatever he wants, misbehave with her. And if the hero did that, the girl will go back home and she'd probably have a dream song. So somewhere I felt that probably we were encouraging stalking, I was encouraging stalking, and sometimes people like to emulate what we do on screen. When Pink happened, I thought probably remaking that film would be one way of redeeming myself for all the
previous choices.
Previous choices of films that I did. So I'm glad I remade Pink.
Yeah.
I'm glad
reached a whole new audience.
And today I'm very conscious that I don't do roles where fans would feel like, oh, he's doing it, so probably it's the right thing to do, and I'm extremely conscious about it. Not, again, I don't want to say this, I'm not being politically correct here. I mean what I say. So I'm trying very hard, I'm trying hard, and I'm happy that I've met filmmakers, be it producers or directors, who are of the same opinion. You know, so yeah, and I hope I'm lucky that I find good scripts in the coming future.
I hope you're not planning to retire anytime soon, though.
You never know. See, it's not about me planning to. I could be forced into retirement.
I mean, you look at your last film, for example, how well it's done, Good, Bad, Ugly.
See, like I tell you, I don't want to take anything for granted.
So you have a plan B for everything.
It's not a plan B. It's you never know. You know, like I see people complaining about life, complaining about to be born with your faculties intact, to be able to smell, to be able to see, to be able to, I mean, you know, and that itself is a blessing. To wake up the next morning and to feel alive, that itself is a blessing. Now, I don't want to sound philosophical here, but I've been through a lot of injuries, surgeries, and I have friends who are cancer survivors. You know, I have family members who are cancer survivors, and we understand how valuable life is, just to be alive. So I want to make use of every second of my life.
And to make the most of it.
I want to make the most of it, and you know, probably when my time comes, I would like my maker to feel proud, saying, okay, I gave this soul a life, and he sucked the juice out of it and used every second of it, you know, in a positive way.
Yeah.
And that's how I want to live my life. I want to live life passionately and not waste time at all.
And it's hugely inspiring, honestly, for someone like me to listen. I'm sure everyone will find it inspiring. But you know, when you go through these thoughts of how you define success, of how you want to make the most of life, I wonder, are there people who inspire you into, you know, thinking like this?
Ayrton Senna. I'm a huge fan of Ayrton Senna. I grew up in the 80s watching Formula One, and those were the days when we never had live telecasts of motorsport. We didn't have satellite television back in India, right? So I had friends who would get these VHS tapes, you know, recorded of the GP 500 races. You know, I used to watch both two-wheeler, I mean, motorcycle racing and Formula One. And Ayrton Senna was one driver who, like, you know, I really idolized. And not only was he a great race car driver, but if you look at his interviews, I mean, very charming, very philosophical. He's been a huge inspiration in my life. And the unfortunate part was he died on the 1st of May 1994, which happened to be my 23rd birthday, and we were watching it live.
Oh my God.
I mean,
broke your heart.
It broke my heart. It really broke my heart.